Have you ever wished for something and then regretted it? Well, there once was a king named Midas who wished for something that he later regretted. King Midas was a man with an insatiable appetite for gold. His vaults brimmed with it, yet his heart yearned for more. He'd often spend his days lost in the glittering allure of his wealth. One fateful day, as Midas was engrossed in counting his gold, a stranger appeared out of nowhere. Intriguing and mysterious, the stranger offered to grant the king a single wish. Midas, his eyes gleaming with desire, said, "I wish everything I touch would turn to gold." The stranger, with a knowing smile, asked, "Are you certain?" Without a second thought, Midas confirmed, "Yes." The stranger then declared, "Starting tomorrow morning with the sun rays, you shall possess the golden touch." And so the stranger promised King Midas that starting the next morning, everything he touched would turn to gold. As the sun rose the next day, King Midas woke up to find that his wish had come true. His eyes widened as he watched his bed transform into a slab of gold at the brush of his fingertips. He chuckled with delight, his mind ablaze with the endless possibilities of his newfound power. With a spring in his step, he moved about his chamber, his touch metamorphosing everything, his clothes, the curtains, his favorite chair, into gleaming gold. His heart filled with joy, he peered out his window, noticing his daughter frolicking in the garden. A thought occurred to him. What if he gave her a golden surprise? But before he could act on it, he decided to indulge in some morning reading. As he picked up his book, however, it hardened and shimmered, turning into an unreadable golden artifact. A flicker of doubt crossed his mind, but he brushed it away, attributing it to a minor inconvenience. Soon hunger called, and he sat down for breakfast. But the moment he touched his breakfast fruit, it too transformed into an inedible golden object. The same happened with his glass of water. His stomach growled, but he couldn't eat or drink gold. A creeping sense of dread started to take hold of him, but before he could fully comprehend the gravity of his situation, he heard the gleeful laughter of his daughter. She came running into his arms, but the moment he touched her, his world shattered. His beloved daughter, the light of his life, turned into a cold, lifeless, golden statue. The laughter died, replaced by a deafening silence. The golden touch, once a blessing, had now become a curse. Everything he touched turned to gold, including his daughter, leaving the king in despair. The world around him glittered, but his heart was filled with darkness. He had wished for gold, but at what cost? His greed had robbed him of his joy, his sustenance, and most tragically, his daughter. The golden touch wasn't a dream come true. It was a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. In his despair, the king cried out for the stranger who granted his wish. The stranger, appearing from the shadows, asked the king if he was content with his golden touch. Heartbroken, the king confessed that he was the most miserable man. He had realized that gold, however abundant, could not satisfy his hunger, quench his thirst, or replace the warmth of his loved ones. He was a king who had everything, yet nothing at all. As the tears streamed down his face, he pleaded with the stranger, "I'd rather have my food and my loving daughter than lumps of gold and her golden statue," he cried. He was willing to give up all his gold to restore his daughter back to life, to hold her in his arms again, to hear her laughter echoing in the palace. Seeing the king's remorse, the stranger asked, "Have you learned your lesson, King Midas?" The king nodded, his eyes filled with newfound wisdom. The stranger then reversed the spell. As the golden hue faded from everything it had touched, the king's daughter returned to her human form. She was no longer a cold, lifeless statue, but a living, breathing girl, her eyes sparkling with life. The king had learned his lesson. He understood that his love for his daughter was worth more than all the gold in the world. And so, what can we learn from King Midas's story? The tale serves as a stark reminder of the perils of greed and misplaced values. It teaches us that the pursuit of material wealth can often lead to unforeseen tragedies, as it did for the king. It underscores the importance of treasuring the love of our family and friends over gold or possessions. Remember, sometimes getting what you want may be a bigger tragedy than not getting what you want. Always treasure the love of your family and friends. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one.